Libra, and this is just where things are at currently. Sorry, and I should just mention you're not all on the same timeline. Some of you may be going through this currently, some of you, this may be further out. Others of you, this may not be your story. I don't want to cover all the little nuances, but you get the general idea of this. And so this is an element that may resonate, and if it does, follow along. But again, the other part of it is timelines can, you don't all make decisions on a Monday. You don't all support systems. So again, there's going to be some gray areas here. But anyway, let's get right into it. We are looking at the Five of Pentacles. So something in this month of May, or whenever you find this, is actually putting you into a space feeling vulnerable. So there's something here that makes you feel as though you've lost something, as though you've been abandoned in some way. There might be something here of an emotional or a financial strain for others, and that just makes you feel as though you're unsupported in some way. As far as anything that is, it just feels like it's more of an inner situation that you're dealing with in terms of, how it's your inner world, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. Now, we are getting into the King of Pentacles. So, of course, on its own is just indicating someone who is very methodical, has a lot of money, or has a good, is very good with investments, or at least has some way of managing money, to the positive. It's a strategic, calculating kind of resource-driven sort of person. Now, this could be you, but it could be somebody could be focusing on dominating you through the control of money as well, reputation or stability, but it could also involve a man that you're aligned with, or this person, again, could be you or another person that's sort of embodying that same energy. Now, the next cards out are the Two of Wands, which does sort of indicate some kind of forward motion or decision that's about to take place. However, the card following that is Eight of Swords, so there's obviously something here that could be about manipulation around behind the scenes, or some kind of strategizing, but it does feel like some kind of restricted movement. So there's something here where you're wanting to go forward, but there's something here that's limiting you in some way, limiting your actions in some regard. So again, it's like you want to act, or somebody else wants to act. They may be waiting for the right moment, or they might fear the consequences, that kind of thing. But either way, this is about manipulation behind the scene, and this could be just something that's kind of sitting there in the background. So now when we get to the next card here, we are looking at the Ace of Swords. So some kind of clarity comes to light. There's something here about a truth or a confrontation, or something here about cutting right through to, sever a tie, finish something. Either you're at odds with something, or at odds with a truth or a person, something like that. There's something here about, some kind of comes to light anyway. And because of that, we are looking at the Six of Swords that follows. It is indicating that there is some kind of moving away from something, moving away from something emotionally or strategically. Either way, this could be you or someone else that's trying to move away from that conflicted energy. They want to strike, but they're also pulling back. So there's some kind of, balance there in the way that something is being dealt with. Now, we're looking at the King of Wands. This is also driven by ego. There could be something here about anger. This could also be about dominance. This could be through, acting through a younger person, or this could also be dealing with there is mature energy as well. There's two kings, King of Wands, King of Pentacles, sorry, three kings. And at the bottom of the deck was also the King of Cups. So a lot of mature energy here. This is almost an end cycle with when you reach all four kings, you're basically getting ready to move on into a whole entirely different lesson. Hi, Eufison. But either way, it's like there's somebody who's trying to, it's like indirect pressure in some way. This can be charming, kind of person, somebody who has, just a really attractive way of planting a seed or disrupting, but either way, I'm going to say there's something here about emotional triggers as well that kind of helps to try to push something into some level of division. But despite, I feel like this is something that's very positive overall, because the Ten of Pentacles speaks to, someone trying to communicate very soon and try to shift the narrative. So there is someone is thinking hard about actions, and, and again, there's something here about, the aftermath that, stepping away and just sort of letting things play out and see how, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you're likely to try to just step away because and just sort of see how this plays out. But the Ten of Pentacles does tell me this could be somebody who's very close to you. This could also be somebody who's very emotionally grounded and wise that's close to you. Cups and the King of Pentacles. Cancer water sign is also present here. Again, strong male figure, but it's also someone with a lot of emotional depth. There's something here about in terms of a blockage, I want to say that there's emotional reactivity that could be present here. You know, someone might try to get you to react in some way. But either way, the Eight of Swords in energy kind of gives me the idea that there's a lot of overthinking or paralysis, but feeling trapped mentally. And that could be you or someone else. But there's something here about that energy being obsessive and sort of somebody feeding off of that fear or that emotional volatility. Now, the thing to look out for, excuse me, in this read is that there's an indirect message about something, seeds planted or something like that. Maybe not so strongly on that, but it's almost like somebody could isolate you in some way. And again, that's because I see that the Five of Pentacles went out there. There's a lot of charisma. There's a lot of charm. There's a lot of, you know, that's kind of somehow influencing the read or how they operate in around you. So again, there's sort of a false appearance of peace after causing a disruption. And then there's some kind of sense of being uninvolved. So I know that's kind of a weird way of saying it, but King of Cups does indicate, you know, this is bottom of the deck. So stay emotionally centered, don't react. There's also, again, the message of the Ace of Swords. Be clear in your communication with boundaries. Only say what needs to be spoken. Hi, you apologize if this is incorrect on your part. Oh, you know what? I think it is my phone. I'm sorry, you're right. I think my phone does skip, and I'm not sure if it's because of the internet and where I'm placed. Apologies. I'll try to figure out something in regards to that. So yeah, I will look into that. My apologies. I do think it is, but again, I'm not sure if it's because I'm sort of away from a direct internet source. I do have internet, of course, on my phone, but it's more along the lines of how from a certain source I am. Yes, but I will look into that. I'm sorry, guys. Um, but again, I do feel like you have to just be, you know, stay in your power, practical focus, reinforce your stability in some ways. You have a lot of spiritual shielding in this matter. And I do feel like you're detaching from drama. So, you know, you're just letting things kind of fall away. I think the message really is here, you know, that you know, something could be. Yeah, no, I totally appreciate that. Hi, Ishida. Yeah, you can ask a question. I'm just going to finish up with I just have a couple more cards here to go through. But I'll do it at the end, just so it doesn't confuse on the rest of the read. But I definitely feel like this is something here about, you know, you're trying to learn emotional mastery in some way here because there's a lot of swords here. And again, it's like you're trying to stay two steps ahead, not by fear, but by staying clear. So it's almost like, you know, you're trying to plan to leave a situation or detach from a situation because you want to be rooted in peace. And I feel like that's kind of where you're directing your energy. Now we're on to the next cards, which is kind of the financial part of things. So we'll take these ones down and we'll go right into, whoops, don't want to show you the items too soon, but it is a good one. Okay, so starting with the Page of Pentacles. Now, this one, of course, is like an indicator of potential money, small amounts, smaller denominations. Could be dealing with a younger person, that kind of thing. Could also be a communication of some sort. And yeah, I will get to your question for sure, Ishida. Yeah, no contact. Okay, so, but with the Page of Pentacles, this is an offer, a message of, you know, in regards to money. It does indicate that money is coming. I feel like there is maybe a learning curve or some kind of delay, something like that, like something's waiting for a pull or transfer or some kind of decision is in the mix here. But I do feel around the home front, it definitely is going to benefit you in some way. It does affect your foundation. The Four of Wands is an indication of celebration, stability, achievement, of funds arriving, not immediate. It might be by, you know, end of day or very soon in this week, that kind of thing. Ten of Cups, this is family, this is peace, this is fulfillment. There's definitely something about, has been some level of regret or some kind of weight or some kind of disappointment, partial loss, some kind of a letdown here around that situation. And again, I feel like that is part of why things were not playing out quickly there, and it caused some sadness. But either way, the Nine of Cups tells me this, you're through that emotional bump. This is really where there's more fulfillment, pleasure. You're getting what you hoped for. It's not instantly, wasn't without the bumps, but you have what you were looking for overall. Now, the other cards is, now this is for whoever, has a certain relationship or something that is very primary to them or of concern. This is kind of where things stand. Now, there is some kind of, there is some kind of partial disappointment. Sorry, guys. There is a little bit of a partial disappointment, but I won't go through it. Well, I'll do the summary maybe at the end here, and we'll just kind of go into this relationship aspect. So as far as the aspect goes, I feel like there's maybe a lack of communication, or at least there's a bit of a withdrawal. There's some kind of distance or emotional, pulling back. I definitely feel like, this other person could be processing something, resting, avoiding conflict, still feeling mentally overwhelmed, something like that, but it's a pause card. The rejection is just a stillness. Now, we also have that followed up around the Empress, which could be, again, mother figure, also speaking to abundance, also could be somebody who's very strongly correlated to somebody that represents a lot of positive things to this person. But either way, again, it can be mother energy as well, but it's also indicating something more loving, deeply important to this person, may not be fully expressing it, but there is a source of comfort and emotional grounding that's correlated to this. And again, with the Three of Wands, there's still advancement, but again, this is a pause card. It's a card of things not moving ahead, just sort of waiting. It's a, card about thinking about things and how to approach you, or thinking about, how they're going to move ahead and that kind of thing. Like there is a desire to connect here, but it's almost like everything is still in planning mode emotionally. So somebody might test the waters, whoever this is, because the Ace of Cups is also coming forward with a potential or an emotional renewal, or a heart-spaced moment where things start to open up, but there's a small expression or affection or gratitude, something like that. It's sort of felt moment either way. So again, the person may be quiet, inward, non-communicative, but it's kind of a no-pressure situation. But there is still more of a warming up or appreciation, that you'll notice here as time goes on. It's like a softening emotionally. And just to kind of summarize some of the other cards there from that initial grouping, I would say that kind of the closing message is, that I would say, as far as the first part of it goes, if there is some kind of betrayal or some kind of sadness or something like that, whatever that is here, it's almost like the person isn't going to strike directly. It's almost like there could be something here about, but because they're capable of causing enough harm and, through strategic emotional sabotage, things like that. There could be something here about, just stay rooted in your peace is what I would say there. So there's something here about, again, you're spiritually shielded in some way. So there's something here that's coming through as protection either way. But I think that's kind of the majority of those cards there. Okay, so let's go into Ashita. What is going to happen in Yashank and connection in the future? Will it be no contact? Is that what you're asking? What is going to happen in Yashank and their connection in the future? What is his next action? Will it be no contact? Will it be no contact? What is going to come through with Ashita and Yashank? With their connection, their relationship. Definitely seeing distance. Well, somebody's coming through as practical mother figure kind of energy, does, responsible things with money. There is something here definitely about money, but there's also withdrawing of feelings. There's a big change that's coming up here with the Wheel of Fortune. And then we'll do fires. But there is, and it is definitely about a connection. It's almost like it's not fully done though, for sure. Let's go into this part of it. What is the Seven of Swords? What is the Seven of Swords? For sure, Tamara. Yeah. Okay, what is the Seven of Swords? What is the Seven of Swords in this connection? Like if it's betrayal or something like that, or deception, lies, somebody holding back. Yeah, and I could be dealing with Libra energy here as well, air sign. Sorry, guys, just in my en route sort of scenario here. Give me 1 second. Just adjusting the heat factor. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is there's a lot of energy around, again, sort of distance is what I would say there. Because the Seven of Swords to me, just give me a second to kind of piece it together. Maybe I'll just also pull a few more clarifiers. What is the Two of Cups energy around this connection? What is the Two of Cups? What is the Wheel of Fortune? Oh, it definitely feels like reconnection. What is the Wheel of Fortune? The big change is something about distance, putting things behind, I think is what we're looking at here. It's the Four of Pentacles. Decisions not yet been made, though. Queen of Pentacles. This is like a family situation. And yeah, bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups. So for sure, this does feel like reconnection. Yeah, it definitely feels like long distance for sure. But I would definitely say reconnection. It doesn't look like this is, I'm getting very positive cards at the very end of things. So, let's see. Okay, so when we're looking at the relationship status for Ishida, and starting out with Seven of Swords, Queen of Swords, and again, we're followed up Two of Swords. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which I'll pull ahead. Six of Swords, Two of Cups, Lovers, Queen of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles. As far as the timeline, I'm going to try to... Oh, thank you very much, Fasan. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So what I'm seeing here is Queen of Swords, again, is kind of speaking to that Libra, Gemini, Aquarius sort of energy. As far as the astrological sign goes. But I want to say there is... Just give me 1 more second to put it together. What I want to say there is it's almost like this is a karmic lesson of some sort. It's like a karmic connection or something like that. Because we have the Wheel of, we have the Lovers, we have the Two of Cups. Like this feels like a very strong connection. And I feel like, you know, a lot of this energy kind of matches one another. So there's something here that tells me with the Seven of Swords, again, there's definitely distance. I definitely feel like there's some kind of mental emotional block or lots of overthinking, but it's not, it's almost like there's between wanting to be safe and wanting to go forward. So I feel like the energy matches. Like there is something here about Taurus, Libra kind of energy. It's very loving. It is very, it is a mature kind of energy here. I would say that it's something here around, again, there's something here with Gemini, Sagittarius as well. It's like the energy is kind of hot and cold in this situation. So it's almost like somebody needs circling, like they need to make clear emotionally what they want. And it feels like they feel deeply, you know, when they're in, when they're connecting to you, when they're speaking with you, that kind of thing. But it's almost like they have to go through some kind of growth period or something like that to kind of get to the other side of things. Is he going to, sorry, I'm just reading your question. Is he going to heart connection? You don't want him to be physically connected to you. Okay, that's why I'm sort of seeing like hot and cold kind of energy here. It's like I said, it's like there's going to be some kind of a major change that happens in this relationship for sure, though. And I would say that this has something to do with, there's something that's affecting the communication. There's a big decision of some sort coming in. There's some kind of breakthrough of some sort. Um, I would definitely say that this is a soul contract connection, especially when I see the Two of Cups, the lovers. And again, there's a lot of emotional growth that's involved, and it's almost like somebody has to choose love and not be afraid. There is an indication that you're kind of breaking past some kind of karmic loop, something that might have been. When will the changes come in? Okay, well, again, it's a little bit the area because I mean it's dealing with the energy of both people. So, but what I would still say is, somebody has to let go. So, however long it takes to get to this point, somebody has to let go of control and then just sort of trust the process and sort of step into, the situation. Because what I feel like somebody's really pulled back. It just feels like there is some kind of trust issue. It definitely feels like there's distance between you. And I would say that you're very compatible, though. It feels like there's some kind of level of indecision. Now, the as far as the timeline, I'm going to say that it's going to be dependent on this decision that needs to be made for sure, because there's a lot of focus on money, a lot of focus on legacy. And it definitely feels like there is a lot of energy here around family connections, and maybe there's influences in that same way. It is you, Ishida. Yeah. Because, like I said, it's almost like there's just something here that kind of speaks to the withholding, the retreating, avoiding the deep emotional contact. There's something here about, calm, clear, getting clear. It needs somebody to get clear, but there's still a sense of, internal reflection. So that's why I say that's where you need the mental clarity, and that's probably where you're kind of stuck. So in the next maybe 1 to 3 weeks, I would say, because of that Wheel of Fortune energy, maybe the next 1 to 3 weeks, something around that time frame, there might be some kind of external or emotional meeting of some sort, where there could be some kind of communication that helps you to sort of bridge that gap, um, where he reaches out or tries to reconnect unexpectedly. There may not be a full understanding of how things are going, but or what decision you want to make there, but it certainly indicates some kind of emotional connection that helps to prepare you for the next phase. So I would say that it's probably 1 3 weeks, but I think officially it'll be the 3 to 5 week range before where there's the real turning point, because that's where I feel more the emotional reconnection is with the Two of Cups and the Lovers that follows. So 3 to 5 weeks out, roughly, there's some kind of potential reunion, and it's like a conversation of some sort that really helps you to open up your heart, either partially or fully, or you start to kind of revisit, things from a different perspective, in how you understand something. But I definitely feel like, it's a time of emotional vulnerability. Like you both are choosing each other freely here. Like it's not a matter of that, it's something else is kind of in the way. And again, I feel like that emotional reconnection is, where you're starting to begin to build that long term. So that's probably about the 5 to 8 weeks out, like 2 month range or whatever. But either way, I feel energy leads to stability, and whether this is with this person or not, I feel like you have a long term sort of level look, ahead here, because this points to a lot of emotional security. This points to, not the drama, you are very firm in your values. You know what's important to you, and it's like you're not going to compromise on things. This is what you want. So again, I would say for the next week or so, there's definitely distance, silence, withholding, inner tension, Four of Pentacles, all of that. But 2 to 3 weeks out, something turns with that Wheel of Fortune card. And again, it feels like it's where, he reaches out, or you somehow there's an outreach of some sort that's possible. And that's where the shift really starts. And there's that big turning point 3 to 5 weeks out where you have an honest talk about things, about how to reconnect. And again, it's about a deeper realization or understanding of each other. And then again, about the fifth or eighth week, I'd say, is where things start to stabilize. And that's where you kind of but either way, I feel like this is all about timing, healing, and choice. And I feel like, You're really rooted. You're really about aligning with somebody, that has exactly the same, well, I shouldn't say exactly, but shares the same values that you do. And you want to be really in emotional alignment with this person. So I would say, you're definitely in a space of getting to know you a little bit with personal insight about, what do you want from this person? What would it look like? But either way, I think what's important to you is your self-worth and your emotional peace, and you want stability, whether it's with him or not with him. But I do feel like it's a really strong emotional connection, and I do feel like there'll be a reaching out of some sort there. There's something here, like I said, about, really grounded energy. So I feel like whatever decision you make, you're doing it from a really good space. I feel like you are, kind of a deep thinker about those things. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight. And again, somebody is going to offer that emotional connection with the Ace of Cups. Um, and on financial and emotional future. Okay, Yufa-san, financial and emotional future. What's coming in for Yufa-san in the next short while regarding finances and emotionally? How will things impact Yufa-san? Financially, what's happening for Yufa-san in the next short while? What's the Four of Pentacles? What's the Queen of Swords? Thank you, Ishida. And for Yufa-san, emotionally, what's coming in? Emotionally, I feel like you're worried about something. What's the Six of Pentacles? What is the Eight of Cups? I feel like you've been really disappointed with something. There's kind of a weight on that emotional aspect of things. So I'm going to go back into that here in a second. But as far as the finances, I feel something related to the past. You're in a period of trying to manifest things, like you're trying to make something happen right now. But as far as, let's go through each of the cards here. Okay, so again, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius is also relevant for you. So I would say that, okay, in terms of, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Ashita. Really appreciate that, guys. Every little bit counts. I'm absolutely grateful. So in terms of Queen of Swords, Four of Pentacles, Magician, Six of Cups, and what's happening financially? Really, thank you, Ishida. That was super kind. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with that part. As far as the finance part of things, I'm going to say that like you're getting clear on something. The Queen of Swords is kind of that indicator that there's something here speaking to, again, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius could all be relevant here. But there's just something here that kind of speaks to there being something that you clear about with the money. Give me 1 second here just to kind of reflect on that for just a minute longer. Okay. Queen of Swords, Four of Pentacles, Magician, Six of Cups. You're holding back on the money. There is something here that kind of speaks to you're hanging on to money. You're trying to get clear maybe on what spend things. You're trying to build something that's correlated around the past. I definitely feel like the Queen of Swords with the Four of Pentacles, Magician's Cups. Just give me 1 second here because I mean, I feel like I'm getting kind of something that's a little bit, almost like a double message of some sort there. That's what's kind of stalling me out a bit here. Because, like I say, it feels like you're trying to get clear on how to approach your finances because it indicates that there's some kind of something you're confused about, possibly, but yet it doesn't feel like it's confusion because you've got a direct focus with the magician. This is about making something manifest. So it's like you're trying to make an informed decision about something, but using some kind of boundaries or something here with the Four of Pentacles and really holding back. It's almost like you're ensuring that your emotions don't cloud your financial choices, something like that, possibly. You don't want to do anything impulsive, but it kind of feels like you're trying to ensure your long-term security. I mean, it is a good card for finances and stability for sure, but it's almost like you're conserving the resources in some way. So you're holding on to the money, you're cautious. Um, you're head of the finances for your family, but it's hard to keep things together. Yeah, like it just feels that way. It feels like you feel like there's some scarcity. You're a little jib with the money. It's important to be careful. Try not to become too stuck in that scarcity thinking, though, but money, because money needs to flow. But at the same token, it's not spending it, it's putting it into the right areas so that you actually can, obviously build on it. But the magician is a really like it's like you almost like you need to release control of some areas to increase your finances, is what I would say there. There is still something around the past, something around childhood. There's something, doing a lot of nostalgic kind of thinking here as well. But it does indicate you've got all the powers, the tools, the things to make something happen. And it does show like there's a big shift here because you have the tools, you have the desire, you have the focus, the energy, the skills to make something successful, but you're holding back on the resources. And so I feel like if you did put those resources into something that you feel might have some flow, I feel like you would start to see that flow. You'd see that there's more resources at your disposal. I do feel like the magician, like I said, the talent, you've got the connections, I just feel like you need to believe in your ability to sort of bring something forward. But again, there's a lot of determination to manifest those financials. So, Six of Cups, it does feel like this is nostalgia again, possibly indicating that, like a financial opportunity related to the past, again, or an old connection or, finance through the past investment of the past is correlated to your finances, that would be revisiting an old strategy that brought you financial success in some way. So that's what I feel like you're trying to return maybe to, or you're thinking about returning to what worked in the past, something like that. Um, but I feel like there will be rewards because of past effort, and reconnecting with some of those old people may actually be to your advantage, that once helped you financially, something like that. And then whether that's just getting advice from them or whatever, there's something along that line. So I would say in the present, you're kind of in that strategic phase with the Queen of Swords, trying to figure things out. And again, kind of protecting your money, and certain Four of Pentacles, that's protecting your money and conserving things. But it also indicates there's something here about laying the groundwork for long-term stability. So I feel like you're reckless in any way. But I definitely feel like maybe in the 1 to 3 week time frame with that magician card, is where you sort of take some action on a new idea or skill or an offer or whatever. But it's almost like it's a creative for you to come up with these solutions. So it's not putting all your money into one thing. It's like you taking a little section of something and kind of putting it into that. Um, because in a 3 to 6 week kind of range, I would say, because of the Six of Cups card here, in that 3 to 6 week range is where there's something about this or a strategy that led you to gain on money in some way. That's where you look back, to get that information. So something about the history or the past or past connection or whatever, a period where you actually had some kind of reward for your heart starts to show up, like an idea or something comes through. But I feel like your financial path is really around. You're logical. You're using a strategy, absolutely. And I think you're still trying to come it into fruition, so to speak, but you're protecting your resources at this time. But I would say just open a little bit of the doorway on that in one area, because that is going to be where you're going to be able to move forward. You have the power to bring something to life here. Your skill set is just about something around the past. old contact or something around a financial decision of the past is going to help you to bring an unexpected reward. So just trust in your abilities. And again, there's some, to bring, I feel like it's both a new and an old opportunity. So there's something about the two correlated. But again, it feels like, you feel like things are stagnant, but I feel like, the action is the manifestation, like you're in the magician mode. So it's not, you're still taking a lot of thoughtful action. Things are still in the mindset, and you're just taking calculated steps, and the momentum will flow following that. But I just feel like that's a really good sort of place to be right now. You don't want to jump too soon before things kind of, um, before in other words, make a decision once you have all of the variables. I guess you have information. Now, as far as emotionally, how I would say you're dealing with things: Nine of Swords, High Priestess, Six of Pentacles, Eight of Cups, Five of Pentacles. So, I mean, cards kind of tell me here that, this is something of well, I'm not going to say complete distress, but it is keeping you up at night. You're really worried about something emotionally. Um, the thing is not all the details are on the table here for you. Because when I see the Nine of Swords out here, I mean, this is a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety about a situation. But the High Priestess indicates, following your intention, sort of, waiting for synchronicities or waiting for something to kind of come in here. But there is still something here that kind of talks about something not quite yet revealed. It's like all the details aren't there yet for you to sort of make a decision. And again, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm talking, relationship status. Let me just emotionally, and in terms of relationship, Nine of Swords, High Priestess. Let me just sort of check this out a little bit here. Just trying to get a feel of what I'm looking at here. Because, I mean, it does show like there's some positive for you. Six of Pentacles, Eight of Cups, Five of Pentacles. All right, so what I'm going to say there, you're walking away from some here for sure with the Eight of Cups. You're kind of distancing yourself away from this scarcity, lack mindset. So I feel like that is changing. I don't feel like you are, like right now you're experiencing some kind of emotional overload or anxiety, sleeplessness, guilt, whatever. There's a lot on your mind, a lot of fears that you're trying to work through right now. And again, it feels like you feel a little isolating, that kind of thing. You're going through a lot of turmoil from your past. It's affecting me now in ways I didn't expect, and it's caused a lot of anxiety. Yeah, that is exactly see there. And again, with the High Priestess, it's almost like you keep too much of your emotion hidden from others. So there's something there about, again, deeply following your intuition. You're sensing more than you're saying. You're reflecting emotionally, spiritually. And I feel like you kind of keep secrets in terms of your relationships or your connections. Now the Six of Pentacles does indicate that, it's the give and receive. And that one right there is more along the lines of things feeling a little imbalanced because it's right next to Eight of Cups, Five of Pentacles. So I feel like something there is about, you're craving that reciprocity. You want something, where there's more give and take, but you're not getting it. And I feel like emotionally, you may be relying on someone who's a little on the unavailable side, but however this resonates. But again, with the Eight of Cups, it's like the breakaway moment. This is where you are seeking deeper meaning. So it's not that you're giving up, but it's almost like a bit of a detachment with a bit of pain. So again, it's not, it's like you're just trying to distance yourself from the things that drain you. I feel like you just don't feel supported, that you feel a little bit lonely. And, this is more of a temporary state. This is a temporary card. These are not big major arcana. This is something that you're going to flow through. You're going to get past. Again, you're not alone as it seems, but, help and healing are nearby with the High Priestess. Sometimes it's just a matter of reaching out or reaching out to the right people. So as far as the anxiety goes, I feel sometime in this or so, you're going to be feeling that anxiety for, mental overload, whatever, for maybe 1 or 2 weeks out. There is going to be some inner reflection, probably about that second week, where you're evaluating your relationships, trying to find some balance. Where's the imbalance? You correct the imbalance. That's the things you're looking at. By about the 6th week, I feel like it's some kind of emotional turning point where you detach, you walk away, you're looking for your own peace. Peace is the most important thing. Oh yeah, you've separated yourself from a lot of people that you miss, and that, yeah, and you use this time alone to try to heal. Yep, that's exactly what I see there. And again, the next 4 to 6 weeks, again, it's an emotional turning point. 6 to 8 weeks out, probably still around that emotional loneliness, feeling left out, but that's where the healing begins. So you still have a little bit of time here, next couple months, before you sort of get past that. But the healing is going to start around that second month. And again, that's just where it begins. So again, it's how, if you've got more resources at your disposal, you might work through this energy a little faster. But either way, I feel like emotionally you're carrying a lot more, again, that you're showing. You're overextending yourself in your relationships, but they left you feeling, empty. And so, like, that's where you're kind of pulling back. Again, you feel abandoned, unsupported. It's just a phase. It's a process for you to sort of deal with the real healing and the deeper truth here. But I definitely feel like, after that 8-week window, that's when you start to emotionally heal. And I feel like your answers will start to come up. Yeah, and you're right. You're distancing yourself from people who you feel don't care. It's not that they don't care. Because your cards tell me that they do, but maybe they're just not emotionally available to care enough or be supportive in the way that you need right now. But I definitely feel like, yeah, there's a lot of people going through stuff like that right now. And I definitely feel like a lot of emotional unavailability is pretty strong theme through a lot of stuff. And I want to say, the card that was at the bottom of the deck is the Three of Wands, and that is it's a good card. So, I mean, it does still speak to, a bit of a waiting period here, but overall, I feel like that one is going to tell you something is unfolding beneath the surface, right? So there's going to be something more to explore or look ahead or look forward. And I feel like you're starting to feel that pull to move forward. And it's just like, I'm glad you needed to hear that. Oh, I think we all need to hear that. Right? Life gets challenging. But I definitely feel like, you're waiting for the results of some kind of inner growth and emotional decision to appear. So I feel like in your case, the emotional pain, the Nine of Swords, all of that emotional silence with the High Priestess, the Six of Pentacles, the imbalance giving, and you walking away more meaning. It just to me feels like you're looking beyond the pain, and I guess it's probably about that second month. And again, that's where deep down you're preparing for a future version of yourself, and it's no longer emotionally trapped or depleted because you're emotionally in charge, of yourself now. And it's almost like you had to give back to you, before you were able to sort of shift into, kind of meeting you where you are at. So that's what it is. It's not like you're looking for other people to save you in some way. It's almost like you just needed to feel, that you were back in appreciation of yourself again in some way, and then your ship starts to come in. It's a sign that this shift is going to bring the ship, bring the ship in. So it's going to help. It's going to meet you where you are once you start to move into this healing energy, vibrating higher at that point. So you start to see the early signs of change. That would be emotional improvements in your life. It's helping you to gain more direction. That's what you're starting to see in around that second month. And it's also kind of showing you there's a new opportunity that's just up ahead. So at that point, you would have done the emotional work, and then you're just going to wait and watch for the results. So anyway, my phone's about to die. So I totally appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support and the donations, all of that. Absolutely love you guys. And again, really, really appreciate the time and energy that you guys, you come in with, because I definitely think that the world needs to be connecting more. So I'm going to leave this at that. And again, check back. I'll do another reading for some of the other signs here as I can. But that's where it goes for the moment. And until the next read, keep moving forward.